All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining Making Studying Abroad Affordable. We're going to talk today about using scholarships, grants, and financial aid to fund study abroad. Actually, we do have a participant, so I'm going to start this over once they join. Hey, Emerson, thanks for joining. We are just about to get started. So this is recording, so you're welcome to either stay on camera or off camera, whatever you're more comfortable with. But we're going to jump right into introductions. So my name is Rachel Delfino. I'm an assistant director in the Office of International Education. I advise for our England programs, our Asia programs, and then our school in Budapest, and then our school in Switzerland. I'll hand this over to Sarah now.
Hi, my name is Sarah Barker. I am the Senior Assistant Director of Financial Services, and I am the Study Abroad Liaison. So each of you have an individual financial aid counselor, but if you have general questions about study abroad, you can always reach out to me as well. Oh, and my teammate Edgar Morales is Assistant Director, and he handles the First Generation program. Unfortunately, he was out ill today, so he's not able to join us. But if you have any questions about going abroad for first generation students, Edgar would be the person to contact.
I can go next. Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a study abroad intern, so I'm a student, but I work in the office. I went abroad this previous year. I did two programs. So I was abroad in Vienna in the fall and then Copenhagen in the spring. So I have a bunch of experience and a bunch of tips to share with you guys, and I'll pass it off to the peer advisors.
Hi, I'm Olivia. I studied abroad in Madrid in fall of 2024, and I'm excited to give some tips for anyone who's wondering for budgeting.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Jake. I studied abroad in Rome, Italy, last semester, the spring of 2025, in the CEA program.
Hi, I'm Victoria, and I studied abroad fall of 2024 in Grenoble, and then I also did the intensive Jamaica program.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. So we are going to jump into the basics of what you need to know about studying abroad financially. Sarah's going to talk a little bit about how to access your financial information and how to understand your loans and scholarships. I will then show you where to find your program budget sheets in Bentley Abroad. We'll go through some of the most affordable programs we offer, as well as some scholarships you can consider applying to. And Hannah and the peer advisors will end it by sharing some of their best budgeting tips. So let's jump into the basics. Any program that is on our list of approved programs in Bentley Abroad, so you can look at this left, this is just a portion of them. We have over 70. All of these are approved programs for students to study abroad on as Bentley students. What this means is you will pay Bentley tuition while you're abroad, and you will receive your Bentley institutional aid. So your Bentley aid is guaranteed for 1 semester abroad. You will have to petition if you'd like to study abroad for a second semester. There is a question in your application to petition for that. And then your Bentley grants and scholarships will apply to study abroad, but they won't be increased for your time abroad. Any exceptions to this are your federal work study and athletic grants. Those do not necessarily apply to abroad. And then your service learning will also not apply to abroad unless petitioned for in advance. So what you need to know on this page is that you will pay Bentley tuition for your study abroad semester. As for housing, this is where things change up a little bit. You will not pay your housing to Bentley University for your time. You're not living on campus, so Bentley is not going to charge you for using Bentley housing. This housing varies depending on the program you go to. Some programs offer homestays, some programs offer student dormitories, and some programs don't offer housing, and you will have to find your own apartment abroad. What this means are there's a couple ways you can pay for your housing, but in almost all scenarios, you are not paying Bentley. You will be paying your host university, you're paying your host program, or you are paying directly to a landlord while you're abroad. If you are in a program where Bentley can pay for your housing, or in some specific scenarios, first-gen presidential fellows are under this category, you will get an email from Bentley, and you should check with Edgar, your financial advisor, and myself to figure out how this is going to work. One important thing to note here that Sarah will also talk about is most of the time, if you have a scholarship or aid for housing, it's going to disperse after your housing payment is due for your semester abroad. Because there's different start dates for all of our programs, you may be getting your housing, say in Austria, before your scholarship aid applies for your Bentley housing. So what that means is most of the time you're going to pay upfront and then later reimburse yourself through your aid. There's a couple different ways you can pay for this, whether it's just out of pocket or through loans. But something to keep in mind is that housing is going to look pretty different from program to program. So it's important to have a conversation with your financial aid advisor to figure out how is your aid going to help you with housing when you're abroad. Other than this, there's a couple of things you need to keep in mind for your semester abroad. This is going to be one, your international health insurance. This is a required fee for anyone studying abroad during the semester. It's typically just under $200. This is in addition to whatever your primary health insurance is while you're at Bentley. So it's just an addition that helps you whenever you're going to the doctor while you're abroad. Other costs vary by student and by program. This means your visa. Some programs need visas and some do not. Some visas are $100, some visas are $1,000. So you'll want to look at your specific program budget to see how much you need to budget out for your visa. Airfare is going to vary. Bentley's not billing you for any of these, like your airfare and visa. So your airfare cost is going to depend very much so on your location and when you're booking your flight. A flight to Asia is going to be a little bit more expensive than a flight to, say, Barcelona or Madrid. You'll want to think about your SIM card and your phone plan. How is your time abroad going to impact this? And is there going to be an additional fee for it with your carrier? Any books, just like you have books you need at Bentley, you're going to need certain books or materials at your host university. There are sometimes local municipal fees, local transportation you want to keep in mind, and then how much are you going to spend on meals? There's not typically meal plans when you're abroad, so you're going to want to account for a budget for out of pocket for paying for groceries or dining out, and then personal expenses. There are always some costs, although it can be minimal depending on what your habits are abroad. We do recommend going abroad with a little bit of pocket money, either for emergencies or your visit on the weekend to the local museum, to the local garden, or whatever your activities are on the weekend. Just a note here, remember that your work study is not going to apply during your semester abroad because for the most part, you're not going to be able to do the same work you're doing while you're on Bentley's campus. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Sarah to talk a little bit about how you can access your financial aid award information in Workday.
Thanks, Rachel. So sometimes it's helpful just to revisit the Workday screens. I know they sometimes can be a little bit confusing, but if you go into your Workday account, you'll see there's a left rail that's in blue. And if you go under the category that says personal, you can then click on the link on the upper white rail where it says documents, and then you can see your financial aid award letter. And then if you want to view your current statement or a prior statement, you can go ahead to the summary screen and then click on the button that says View Statement. And the statement will show your current balance. It'll show what your aid has been applied, and then if there's any anticipated aid that has not yet been applied, but we know it's coming in, for example, like Massachusetts grant as an example, or a no interest loan, something of that nature, it will show as anticipated payments. Next slide. So to get to that statement, you would just click on the institution Bentley and then the period that you would like to review. So this can be helpful if just in planning ahead, even before you know what your exact bill is going to look like for the semester going abroad, you can get an estimate based on the current semester. There will be some adjustments to your budget for financial aid depending on which program you do attend. So just to keep that in mind. But you can use the fall semester billing as a gauge of what your current aid looks like. So when you go abroad and you're on a Bentley-sponsored program or affiliated program that's approved, you will receive all your federal and state loans and grants, including Pell, federal SEOG, and your direct loans, whether you get subsidized or unsubsidized or both. As we mentioned earlier, work study does not apply when you are abroad. But you can also take out additional loans if the specific federal loans you're receiving don't cover the costs that you'd like to cover while you are abroad. So we mentioned housing earlier. It does need to be paid up front. Typically, the housing bill comes to you directly before your Bentley financial aid is dispersed. Part of the reason for that is that the Bentley semester doesn't align exactly with the start date of different programs abroad. So the abroad program is going to want their money for the housing or their specific, whether you're paying it directly to the landlord, they're going to want that money before you get to your program. So if you do need to take out an additional loan, you can look into a Parent Plus loan, which is a federal loan, or a private loan. And just keep in mind that the loan process does take 2 to 3 weeks from the time you apply for a loan and get an approval to the time that it is certified. Sometimes that can be a little bit, feel like a long time when you really need the money right away. So we do encourage you to plan ahead for that. So just to clarify, Bentley First does count when you're abroad because that is one scholarship where you are required to stay on campus. But if you are on a Bentley program, that is considered to be on campus for the purposes of the Bentley First grant. Falcon Grant, which is the athletic grant, as mentioned, does not apply while abroad, and service learning is subject to approval. We do want to emphasize that there are other scholarships you can apply for. There are several listed on the Study Abroad website, and there are also outside scholarships that are not necessarily abroad related that you can also apply to. And if you have questions about that, you can reach out to your Study Abroad advisor or your financial aid advisor.